Hey guys, it's Michael. Today's your Tuesday, May 12th, stimulus check and stimulus package update, and we have a lot of information to go over. We're going to start off with financial and economic news, specifically with states reopening and what Dr. Fauci had to say about this late last night. Then we're going to move into the second round of stimulus checks and a couple of new updates here with Donald Trump and the House Democrats. Moving on, we're going to talk about the PPP and EIDL loan, and then finally we have an urgent update from the IRS that relates to anyone who has already received their stimulus check and may have received the wrong amount. So if you're someone who has not yet received your stimulus check, or you received it and received the wrong amount, well then make sure you stick around for this very important IRS update at the end. Anyways, before we get started, if you're interested in the stimulus checks, in stock market, and how to make money in general, well then please be sure to subscribe to my channel so you can be notified when new videos come out. Anyways, let's jump right into it and let's get into the financial and economic news. Let's start off with states reopening and a warning from Dr. Fauci. So in an email ahead of his Tuesday morning public testimony with the Senate, Dr. Fauci emailed the New York Times and he said that he will be warning the Senate of reopening the economies too soon. He says that reopening economies too soon will cause needless suffering and death. He says that we need to make sure we follow the guidelines listed in the Opening Up America Again plan. He said that the one important aspect of this is that we need to have a downward trajectory in the number of coronavirus cases. And he says we are not seeing this. So this is important to keep in mind because Dr. Fauci has been the lead person to go to for the coronavirus, and he is saying that we may be opening too soon because we are not following the guidelines and that cases are still increasing daily. So this is something important to keep an eye out for. Next up is with the stock market, and just a quick note on this. The stock market has been up for 6 straight sessions in the row, led by the NASDAQ. So it'll be exciting to see what Dr. Fauci says and see how that affects the stock market today. Right now, the futures look like it should be up today, but we'll see how that goes. Next up is the second round of stimulus checks, and currently the House Democrats are working on a massive stimulus bill. As of right now, there are no new updates with what's going to be in the bill. There's a lot of talk, but I don't want to go over anything until it is official. So it should be official either today or tomorrow, and I'll let you guys know as soon as that comes out. But there is good news on the second stimulus package from Donald Trump. And late last night, he said that we are talking about a second stimulus check when he was asked about the Democrats and their bill that they're proposing. He says that we're also talking about that with a number of different people, and we're talking about a payroll tax cut and other direct stimulus checks. So he says that there are a lot of things that he wants to see in this second stimulus package. So this is great news because a lot of people thought maybe talks were paused or they weren't sure what was going on with the second stimulus check. But as of last night, when Donald Trump said this in an interview, he said that they're talking about more stimulus checks in the second stimulus package, which should be proposed soon by the House Democrats. So this is great news because even though Donald Trump is talking about a payroll tax cut and other things he'd like to see, they also talked about direct stimulus checks. So hopefully we get another monthly stimulus check. Before we get into the urgent IRS update, I just want to touch on a couple of things with the PPP and EIDL loan, and that is that the PPP loan, the safe harbor date is May 14th. So if you already received money from the PPP loan and you decided that you no longer need it or that you cannot meet the qualifications for self-certifying that you need the money, well then you could go ahead and return it by the safe harbor date, which is May 14th. They moved this date back and there will be no repercussions if you decide to return your money. So make sure you return the money if you want to do that. Also, there's currently $190 billion that has been spent out of the $310 billion in the PPP program. So go ahead and apply if you still are looking to apply for this because it will run out of money soon. Next up is with the first round of stimulus checks, and this is an urgent update that came out late last night from the IRS that will apply to anyone who has already received their stimulus check but received the wrong amount, or for anyone who has not yet received their stimulus check. So we're going to go over this update step by step. This IRS press release has a lot of good information on it, so let's jump right into the first main point, which is you have not filed a 2019 tax return, or the IRS has not finished processing your 2019 tax return. So it says that payments are automatic for people who filed 2018 or 2019 tax returns, that you'll just receive your stimulus payment the same way that you normally receive tax credits. So whenever you file your taxes, if you receive money back via direct deposit, well then you'll automatically receive your stimulus payment via direct deposit. If you normally receive it via check in the mail, well then you'll receive it check in the mail. And it says the IRS will use the 2018 return if you have not yet filed your 2019 taxes, but it also says that if you have already filed your 2019 taxes, that the IRS will use your 2018 return if they have not finished processing your new information. So that means if you submitted your 2019 taxes recently, they'll probably just end up using 2018 taxes if they have not yet finished processing your 2019 taxes. And they wanted to point out something that a lot of people have been asking me, which is that the IRS accepting a tax return electronically is different than them processing the information. So even though they may have accepted it electronically, this does not mean that they would have processed it. So I've been getting a lot of questions down below saying, you sent your taxes in, you did it electronically, why haven't you gotten your stimulus check? Well, then this answers that question. Moving on, the next thing is that if claim dependents are not eligible for a $500 payment. So what this says is that in order to claim that additional $500 for a dependent, the child must be related to you, live with them more than half the year, and provide at least half of their support. So those are a couple of the qualifications. In addition to this, it says parents who are not married to each other and do not file a joint tax return cannot both claim their qualifying child as a dependent. They both cannot receive that additional $500. So what this is saying that only one parent can receive that additional $500 for that dependent. Next up is for college students. And according to the IRS, most college students will not receive any stimulus payment. This is because in order to qualify as a dependent, you have to be 16 years of age or younger in order to receive that $500 payment. And that excludes college students because college students are normally 19 to 22 years old. So they're always going to be above that 16 years of age. So even if college students are claimed as a dependent on their parents' tax returns, they're still not eligible for a stimulus payment. However, there is one scenario where college students can receive the full $1,200 stimulus payment. And that is if they file their own taxes and they're not claimed as a dependent on anyone else's tax returns. And if this is the scenario, well then they are eligible for a $1,200 stimulus payment. Moving on is claim dependents are parents or relatives age 17 or older. And basically what this says is that anyone who's filed as a dependent on your tax returns, whether they're 17 years old or they're 90 years old, it doesn't matter. If anyone is claimed as a dependent and they are over 16 years of age, so if they're 17 or older, then you will not receive any stimulus check for that person. They won't receive a $500 check and they won't receive their own $1,200 stimulus check. So as long as someone's filed as a dependent on your taxes, they will not receive a stimulus payment. Next up is past due child support was deducted from the payment. And according to this press release, it says that the stimulus check is offset only by past due child support. So not by any other debts, no state debts, no federal debts, only by past due child support. And it says that the Bureau of Fiscal Service will send you a notice if an offset occurs. So unless you receive a notice from the Bureau of Fiscal Service, that means that they have not offset your payment for child support. You'll have to receive that notice if it happens. Moving on is with garnishments by creditors reduce the payment amount. So a lot of people think that creditors take the amount from your stimulus payment. However, federal tax refunds, including the stimulus checks, are not protected from garnishments by creditors by federal law once the amount is deposited into your bank account. So what they're saying is that they're going to give you the full amount. If you owe money to creditors and you have any sort of debts, they're going to give you the full stimulus payment. However, they can't control if the creditors take money from your bank account. So they're going to make sure that you get the full amount, but they can't control what the creditors do after they send you the stimulus payment. And then the final question they address is what if the amount of the stimulus check was incorrect? And what they say is that everyone should review the eligibility requirements for their family to make sure they receive the right amount. So make sure you know how much you were supposed to receive. Look at this document, I'll link it down below, and make sure you receive the right amount that you were supposed to. And if you received the wrong amount, according to the IRS, they say that you may qualify to receive an additional amount early next year when you file your 2020 taxes. So as of right now, the only way that you could receive the additional amount that you were supposed to get is if you file 2020 taxes. And I know a lot of you are thinking, I don't file taxes normally, I receive benefits, I'm a non-filer, and I get it. But as of right now, the IRS says that the only way to ensure that you receive the additional amount that they may have made a mistake on is if you file your 2020 federal income tax return. And the IRS will provide further details on the IRS website on the action that you will need to take when they come up with this information. But as of right now, you cannot do anything according to the IRS. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching. That's the most recent IRS press release that was just announced within the last hour when I'm recording this right now. Anyways, don't forget to get your 2 free stocks valued up to $1,400 when you sign up for the Webull investing app, 1 free stock when you sign up for Robinhood. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out the links down below and join our Power of Finance Investors group, as well as our Discord group community chat. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like the video down below, leave a comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.